Welcome to the only real estate podcast worth listening to, with your hosts Nick Good, Matt Kelderman, and Brian Force. Combined, they have 26 years of experience and have sold over 1,500 homes. Join them each week as they bring you everything you need to know about real estate. And now, here are your hosts, Nick, Matt, and Brian.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the only real estate podcast worth listening to. We've got a great show today. We are going to be talking with just us three today about some changes in the industry. We're seeing some CEOs, some original CEOs jump back in the game. We've got the original co-founder of Zillow going back into his old role of CEO. We've got Gary Keller retaking the helm after 20 years, and that kind of leads into how our businesses, as we are all CEOs of our own, how we're having to jump back in more than we ever have. And then as we wrap it up today, we're going to talk a little bit about our struggles and even some more mindset and mind-shifting talk. So,
do we have struggles?
Dude, I'm every day right now. I mean, the last 2 weeks has been a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Brian will bring up some of this. There's been some team changes. We've lost some team members as well. I think all of us over the last 2 weeks we've lightened our load a little bit within the number of teammates that we have.
Definitely shed some weight.
Which has led us into how I've reviewed, Gary Keller coming back in after 20 years and working harder than ever to make sure that he continues leading Keller Williams down that number one path. And our frenemy Zillow, right? I mean, Spencer Raskoff is out, and Rich Barton, the original co-founder and CEO, he's now the CEO again. And I'm assuming he's back in because of their lowering stock prices.
Or, the fact that, what did they do recently? Took all their leads back and are doing the ISA thing.
They're doing
now
the
they're
ISA,
calling their own.
And they're now they're making the offers, buying them, and then relisting them under like a Zillow style brokerage.
Yep.
So trying to cut out some of the agents out there.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any reason for good real estate agents to be scared of Zillow, right? Like, we're all social media savvy, and I spent some time in the comment section, and there are real estate agents watching this and on all of those channels who freak out every time people talk about Zillow. Yeah. But I think if you have a strong business and you're inside your business and doing like the stuff that we're going to get into, you're going to be able to beat out the Zillow locally in the neighborhood where it matters, for sure.
100%. But what does that say about the industry or about these two companies that their CEOs have jumped back in? Yeah. I mean, personally, I think it's sort of an arms race, right? I mean, they're both. Zillow was always a tech company. Keller Williams has been proclaimed itself as a tech company for the last 2 years, but the two founders have jumped back in as CEO because the business models are changing, the game is changing. It's pretty similar to the real estate game, just the day-to-day business operation. We all run teams. We've all had times where we've jumped back in as CEO, back into production on our own teams as well. What does that look like for those two? What does it look like for us?
I'll tell you what it looks like for me.
Yeah.
I mean, over the last 2 years, I've removed myself pretty much almost 100% from production. I mean, there's a few, probably less than 5 deals last year that was mine. And now, I will probably do 25, 30 deals on my own this year, maybe even more than that. So with the changing of the industry, with technologies trying to come in and disrupt everything, with the market cycle getting longer to sell, some of our agents aren't making money as quickly as they need. So they're either getting out of the business, which is leaving us holding the bag and having to jump back in, right? So, you get to a certain level and you think you can kind of break through that ceiling, and sometimes you get knocked in the gut and have to go 2 steps backwards. So, and it's humbling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, last year was the first year in 10 years that we went backwards. We've talked about this before, so we won't beat a dead horse. But,
you don't want to relive it either. Here's the one thing though that I have learned as I've started associating with higher level people, right? And you start hanging around people who have been doing it for a long time or doing it really well. They all have resets. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is just probably the first of many. And I'm similar to Nick from the standpoint of I don't necessarily like people leaving the team. Like, it kind of, I don't know. There's a loss there, even if it's just a loss of opportunity. It's not always like I lost emotionally or something.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is when talking to like Adam Hergenrother, the guy who mentors me and runs our company, he's had to take it down to himself again and start back over. And I'm sure Gary is seeing the thinning of the herd that's happening, agents leaving, focusing on good agents, producing agents, jumping back in and taking the reins. I saw a post somewhere on Facebook the other day that he legitimately responded to somebody's support request for Kelly.
I've heard that he's also calling people.
Yeah.
He's personally calling them as well.
What does that mean? That if somebody of Gary Keller, who honestly, if he wasn't such a stubborn, diehard, staunch supporter of the agent, could sell this whole thing off for such a shit ton of money that he doesn't need this headache at all. He doesn't need this headache at all, and he's taking it on. But somehow we get stuck in our businesses thinking that it's not our responsibility to dive back in and take the reins when shit's going wrong too, right?
Can't understand why things aren't running on their own after 2 years. Yeah. You know, like, I get that. But that's, so, I mean, dive into that, right? Like, you've jumped back in. You're probably looking at doing 25 transactions on your own this year. And obviously you run a business that's about 4 times the size of mine, right? And that's exactly what I did last year and was trying to avoid this year. I did 25 of my own transactions last year, all trying to give everything away from my team so I didn't have to. Really, I should have done 50 transactions, but basically worked part-time so that I could grow this team. And now it looks like I'm going to have to do even more transactions on my own this year because I've learned a lot of lessons about really refining the talent that I hire, not expanding too quickly, understanding that my systems need to really be scalable before I continue to grow and recruit. And it's put me in a position where now I'm like left brain, right brain. Like half of my day wants to just build systems and continue to grow and recruit and interview new agents, and the other half just wants to prospect and go sell homes and make tons of money so I don't ever have to run a bigger team than I already do, right? So what does that look like for you? What is it that's got you jumping back in, and how are you approaching that?
Well, I mean, it's twofold. So, I mean, going backwards is I'm a competition freak, right? Like I want to make sure that we're beating everybody. And going, I don't like to tell people that we went backwards in production. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm on recruiting appointments or whatever, if I'm doing a panel, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, 2017 we did this, but in 18 we did less than that. Right. So there's a little bit, maybe that's an ego thing in me, but with the market cycle going longer, because we're listing based heavy, we do need to make sure that we're all hands are on deck, and I need to contribute just to make sure we have revenue coming in. So I mean, it's working long hours. Right. So what my day looks like right now is not so much prospecting for listings and business at during the morning time. I'm still going and running recruiting appointments for agents to join us, but my rest of my day is running. I ran a listing appointment in Grand Prairie Monday, 5:30 at 5:30. I mean, traffic out there is horrible. That was an hour and 15 minutes just there. Right. Hour and 45 minutes back. Signed that guy. He was at a for sale by owner. Getting referrals that are coming in, from our sphere and running those. And then I'm signing a 27 lot development that will be the exclusive, one of the exclusive agents on. But that last night lasted till 8:15, meeting from 6 to 8:15. So every night I'm meeting with people and doing that. So it's up early, coming home late, and right now it's everything else is on hold until we kind of break through that ceiling. Yep. So that's, I mean, Gary, even Gary, and I'm sure that the Zillow and other people that are jumping back into their businesses, they're up early and getting home late. For sure. Right.
So it's not even splitting time, it's adding time, right? I mean, splitting time would be you're working part-time on your own production, you're working part-time on the team, you're doing both full-time, and that's what it's going to take. If you have to jump, I mean, that's what is going to separate you as a real CEO, as a real leader. Anybody can call themselves a CEO of whatever, but if you're not willing to work dusk till dawn, or dawn to what? I don't know. Is that a movie?
Which one's with? Yeah, with Clooney.
It's a vampire.
There's
movie.
one of the greatest lines in that movie ever.
What's that?
First off, Selma Hayek's in there dancing with like a yellow snake, which is all right. And then secondly, they ask him something like they have to go to Mexico. And they ask Clooney or Quentin Tarantino, like, what's in Mexico? And they just look at him and they say, Mexicans. And then everybody's like, it's just the stupidest line in the stupidest movie. But the Selma Hayek scene at the beginning is fantastic.
It's significant to us because both of our Mexican wives are sitting right there.
Yeah. You have to get the camera turned around. But either way.
What was I talking about?
I don't know.
Even a show?
Dusk till dawn.
I know.
Yeah, dawn till dusk.
But if you're not willing to work like that.
Exactly. And here's my thing is I'm the exact opposite of Nick. So I sold 40-ish, 42 homes last year, and my goal is to sell 65 this year. So I'm ramping up production. One, I like the real estate side of real estate. Even if I had a functioning team, there would still be a part of me that wants to go out and rep people on homes and do all of that stuff. So I like that part of the process way, way, way too much to walk away from it completely. But it's being responsible for that level of production is scary too, right? Because you're responsible for all the business costs.
Right.
You know, we've talked about it before, and we're not going to break down a calendar or calendars ever again on this show probably, but it's 5 to 7. This show will get done shooting at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I will go work for 2 more hours after this.
100%.
And then I'll go home. I'll play with my kid for an hour and a half. We'll get ready for the next day. You know, I still lay out my clothes and put out my lunch and get all my crap ready for tomorrow.
That's why you got to wear the same thing.
I know. Jason Jones does, or Jerry Jones does that.
Yep.
Or Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett
wears the exact same outfit and eats the exact same lunch every day because he's like, I just don't even want to think about it.
Yeah. It's one less thing I have to think about coming, you know, my mom's like, wow, you need to change your jeans. I'm like, I got 3 pairs of jeans. Like, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to think about it. And that's, if I had to add that to my day, I'm like, all right, what am I going to wear? I need to make sure I look good in front of somebody. No, I'm just going to wear this. If they like it, great. If they don't, no big deal. But when it comes down to this and diving back in, it's also we're refining and making sure that our systems are working better than ever, right? And I don't know if we talked about it off air, if we brought it up on here or somewhere else, but you know, we were over systematized that made us inefficient. In fact, like we had so many systems that they still weren't communicating the way they should be. We were dropping the ball, and we weren't getting back to the grind of just calling people, meeting people, et cetera, right? We just relied too much on the system. So we're actually refining that. We fired Commissions Inc. So if anybody wants to find out more about that, I've got some negative reviews for them.
Just on blast on this show.
I'm not on this one. I am
sponsorship dollars.
Well, we don't want sponsorship.
Yeah, we're not ad ready yet.
Not for them. I'm not happy with them. But it's breaking down and
absolutely
and jumping back in and reanalyzing, cutting our costs. So went from Commissions Inc. back to Boomtown, which I love anyway, and it's cheaper, right? So we also have to be more mindful of where our budgets are going into the future. Because again, in my opinion, I believe that in the next 2 years, there will be some type of recession.
Yeah. Right.
So we're complaining right now, or we're feeling this pain pressure. It's going to be worse in the next 24 months.
Yep.
So refining, diving back in, whether you're a solo agent or wanting to build a team or rebuild the team, it's making sure that it's done correctly.
Yeah. And for me, it really opened up a lot of holes in it exposed where the weaknesses really were in my business and the opportunities for improvement, right?
Where would you say those weaknesses are, though?
So I'll give you a perfect example, right? So me jumping back in, I'm on pace. I'll do $10 million in personal production most likely this year, right? And that's not where I want to be. I want to be at $2 million, right? And I want the team to do exponentially more than that, right? If I have to jump back in and do $10 million, that means I'm taking business away from people that probably weren't converting the things that I needed them to, right? Now that I've jumped back in with everything that we've built out, I've realized like how easy it is to hit that mark just on my own because our transaction side systems are so impeccable. Like I never have to think about anything, right? Like my director of operations absolutely crushes it. As soon as something's under contract,
it's done.
I mean, I don't negotiate repairs. I don't think about anything anymore.
Yeah.
I get you to the point where you're under contract and it's better that you don't ever hear from me again, right? And we get nothing but 5-star reviews because honestly, she's a lot more personable than I am,
right?
And she's going to take way better care of them, right? So that's the fun part for them. They don't want to talk to me, right? But it exposed where, okay, that's not a hang up. Nothing's fallen through the cracks there. So why the hell are we not doing 4 times as much business as we are right now? We should be doing way more. Well, the hang up has been in some of our lead generation and conversion systems, our follow-up systems, right? Our follow-up systems are there. They could certainly be refined. I also need the human element, right? What was really, really exposed to me and has been exposed to me jumping back in is our follow-up systems are good, but those human beings are not working on property, right? And if you're not going to use the tools, if you're not going to work the system, it's going to fail you, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, I looked at our conversion rates on the leads that were coming in and what was going out and what was coming in and what was actually closing, and our conversion rates were terrible. We had all the tools, all the systems looked good. The human beings that were on board simply weren't converting, right?
It's like having a Porsche and it just doesn't start.
100%. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're just putting regular gas in it.
You can't do that?
You can't do
sit
that.
on the hood of it like
it's got
some
like a
cool
computer. It'll shut down and go into like safe mode. They're very cool cars. You should get one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one because I'm gonna sit on the hood of it, all super sexy.
Yeah,
with a snake.
But you also have to get your own tripod so you can take that picture on your own.
On your own.
Like a true narcissist.
Nobody will come along.
Nobody's going to come take pictures of you at the parking garage in the office.
Oh, is that where that was?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's good. That's good.
So if you want to know what Brian's talking about, go to his Facebook page.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it's a really badass blog post. And one of the things, small segue so we can all sit here and pat each other on the back for a second.
Yeah.
You are one of the best writers that I personally know when it comes to putting your thoughts on paper. Like it's really impressive. So, I mean, I would encourage you to go read the blog post, Real Estate Agents Who Watch This, because it's really good about a day in the life of what he does. Honestly, where Nick and I kind of want to rip it off.
Yeah. My parents will be happy to hear that. They spent a lot of money on that creative writing degree.
Good workforces.
It really was fucking good.
Yeah, it was good.
But one of the things, I mean, digging into that a little bit, that's one of the things that I found sort of jumping back in and being split as far as our commitments right now. One is the production side, one is the team building side, is that I found that while I have an incredibly hectic schedule like we all do every single day, one of the biggest challenges that I face is I was way too granular in my time blocking, right? Like, and I think that's everybody's got their different system, their different whatever. It all just comes down to basic discipline. But I think that some people can time block down to the minute a lot better than others can, just based on their personality. I had way too many things time blocked on my schedule every day. My schedule would be time blocked from 4:30 in the morning when I get up till about 6 or 7 at night, when I finally shut the laptop down, and it was down to the hour.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem with that is that our schedules are like controlled chaos half the time, like Wednesdays when we do this are totally different than Thursdays or Mondays or whatever. And if I got behind on something, if I got 30 minutes, passed on something and that next reminder came up for where I was supposed to be, if I brush it off once, I'll make a habit of it. And then I brush it off again the next day. And suddenly I've got this whole hour by hour time block and I'm not doing any of it, right? So I simplified it, right? I basically broke it down into three components of what I do each day, right? And that's finding new business, following up so I can continue to generate from existing business, and then actually going and doing the shit every day that I set up from the first two things, right? I basically jacked that from Ryan Serhant, right? So huge broker out in New York. But it works better for my personality, right? I know that if I stick to the very few basic things that I'm supposed to do every day, and if I ask myself at any point during the day, am I doing one of the three things that I'm supposed to be doing at the time I'm supposed to be doing it? Am I doing that properly? And I'll be satisfied with what I do every day, right? It starts with if I'm up at 4:30 every day like I'm supposed to be, and I'm done with my workout and everything by 6 in the morning, I'm on the right track, right?
Yep.
If I know by noon I've accomplished my prospecting and I've generated new business, I'm happy. If I know by 2 o'clock I've gotten all my follow-ups done and I don't have a whole ton of tasks in my CRM that are undone, I'm happy with that, right? And if those two things are done, I won't have to worry about what happens between 2 and 6 because it's already scheduled, right? Because that got generated from the first two parts of my day, right? Simplifying it that way has given me so much more time, I feel like, to do the other shit that I'm supposed to do. And that's recruiting, meeting, interviewing, building the team, systematizing, all that type of stuff.
Do you have a screenshot of that? Of your count? You don't need to show me right now. I believe you. I truly do. I don't think you're lying.
Fucking show you right now.
But if you're interested in seeing how that looks,
we can put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes. And if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, just comment, share this, like this. More engagement that we have on this, the more that we want to open this up and share this. Kind of talking the same thing. I'll share in the show notes as well, down in our Facebook comments and on YouTube. Is we took this similar approach. Our theme this year was KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? Because we overcomplicated everything. So I've got a stair-step program of how to make 6 figures in this business. Okay. If you have to just set one appointment a day, and it's on our commission structure, so you'd have to adjust it to yours, but just if I told you one appointment a day will lead you to $100,000, does that sound hard?
I don't think so.
No. Does it sound? No, it doesn't. And everyone I talked to, when we broke it down that way, they're like, oh shit, it was like the light bulb finally went off, right? And you guys have commented about how it seems like we have our act together a little bit more than some others, and our agents are finally getting a more consistent production. I attribute it to, one, our team leader, Elizabeth Austin, and two, following that stair-step program of just keeping it simple.
Yep.
Right? Not jumping from pond to pond with your fishing pole out.
Yep.
Because I saw Brian over here that caught a big old buyer, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go fish in that pond.
Yep.
No, we're gonna stick to the course. I just need one appointment today.
Yep.
Needs to be qualified in quality, but what am I going to do to get that one? And I'm not going to leave today until I set one.
Yep.
That last part is the part though, right? And I'll look at you when I say this, but most agents hear that and it sounds really great because we've talked about this before. Just make $100,000 a year. You've been doing this for 8 years. Every time somebody rolls in for the past 8 years, when you ask them what are their financial goals, it's $100,000 this year, right?
100% of the time.
It's $100,000 and time freedom.
Yes, yeah.
So
it's always
they
the
want
same
to work
thing.
no hours.
Like
and
most
make
six-figure
$100,000.
jobs.
Exactly.
But
But here's the deal, right? Setting an appointment a day, while it is doable, and with practice, something that you can do consistently,
right.
You have to work your ass off for that appointment a day right at first. You have to be willing to sit down. You have to be willing to call for 4 hours. You have to be willing to do it even though you do not want to. And guess, here's the other part about this. Nobody's going to stand over your shoulder and hold your ass accountable. If you want to quit, that's fine. But you're just going to be quitting on yourself.
Well, that's where the time freedom comes in, right?
Yeah.
It's
you got to buy it back. Dude. The world doesn't work like that.
So I used to have friends that out from college. I had like 4 of them that worked at the same company. They worked at a call center, basically, right? They did like when people got old and got dropped from their insurance plan, they would sell them new insurance plans or whatever. So basically their job at the call center was they had to call old people all around the country every day and schedule an appointment for a doctor to come out and give them a physical.
The world's worst cold call.
Oh, 100%, dude. Like, no, like either they not picking up the phone, or when they do, they're confused about who's even calling them or what. It's tough, dude, right? So their commission or their pay structure was like 30 base. But if they came in on Saturdays, this is very similar to a Nick Good story that I know. They could make like 55 a year with bonuses or whatever. But they had to set a certain amount of appointments a day. Whatever. But it's corporate. It was mandatory. You know, they didn't just get to roll in at 10, leave at 2. They were on their own or whatever. Like if they had performance metrics, it was a standard they were held to. If they didn't hit their appointment thing, they didn't get their bonuses. And if they didn't hit it long enough, they were fired. Right. The thing is, I had buddies that worked there for like 5 years, and they were dumb in the first place. For anybody doing that for 5 years is dumb in the first place. But what I'm saying is, they were able to stick around somehow for 5 years doing the world's hardest cold calling job, and I can only think the reason is because the pay was already there and the standards were there, right? We will always do more to keep what we have than we will to get something that we don't have, right? If somebody takes $100,000 from you, you're going to do a hell of a lot. You're going to do basically anything to get it back, right? If you're not going to do the same things to earn $100,000, right? And so it was amazing to me what people will do for $55,000 a year. Whereas if you sat on the phones that long all day, every day, and called people who weren't old and needed new insurance and might be dying, we'd probably set just as many appointments with able-bodied buyers and sellers and make $250,000 a year. But when you have the option to leave whenever you want and nobody's looking over your shoulder,
and work ends at 5 o'clock,
things change.
Yeah,
I mean that's the question of, if you were working if you were working and your parents were watching you, or whomever that you hold at a higher regard, are they going to be impressed or disappointed with your work ethic?
I think about what you're going to think of me every day.
Right now, it's really good.
Thank you. But that's true. I mean, when no one is holding you to that standard, that's when your true commitment and your character is going to shine.
And here's the deal, right? The false narrative that's been presented around our industry. First out, we put it in the description about Fredrik, but he's my favorite millionaire real estate agent because he drives around. He has somebody driving him around doing. I mean, it's super cool. Nobody wants to do the stuff that they have to do behind the scenes, right? Nobody wants to do the stuff on the computer and the clacking away and what Chase didn't say a couple of weeks ago, that there was over a week, like I think he said over the course of a week he had him filming himself just to get like 30 minutes worth of footage or something like that. What was that podcast that you were listening to the other day they were talking about?
Same exact thing. I was listening to the Joe Rogan, or watching, I guess, the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. And they have there's a really, really interesting guy. He's a Navy SEAL. His name's Andy Stump. And he's been on there several times, but he had basically they were talking a little bit about what drives him crazy about like war movies and stuff, like, because he's been in combat for so long and it's such a high level, and he's like, basically I can't even watch them, right? It's like being a flipper and watching HGTV, like nothing's really real. Like, I'm so upset that this is like, yeah. He's like, and so he's basically asking, like, what do they get wrong? And he's like, everything. He's like, it just doesn't. He's like, the 2-hour movie that they put where it's just like all combat and shooting them up and this and that. He's like, that's like 1% of what we do. He's like, if you really wanted to know what a Navy SEAL does, you'd have a movie where he's sitting in front of a computer continuously submitting for mission approval and them sending it back because it's in the wrong font, and him yelling at the computer and them going back and forth with the higher ups about this, and planning and strategizing and having plan B and plan C and plan D and everything that goes into this 10-hour mission, right? And that's 99% of what we do. He's like, but that doesn't make a good movie, right?
No.
Nobody wants to watch a movie about a dude sitting in front of a computer. And it's the same thing with us, right? And I empathize with Chasten, because I have probably shot me walking into this building for my blog for the last 6 times that we've been in this studio, because I'm trying to shoot the first episode of a video blog I want to do. But the reality is that's probably the most interesting thing that I do is this show. Walking into the building is a cool shot because it's a cool building, and I go on I don't think my clients want me to film them in their houses, so that's kind of off the table.
Somebody's about to put out like a whole video series about that situation.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Maybe it'll be amazing.
Maybe that's a limiting belief on my part.
Right?
I need to ask.
You just have to ask. I mean, I would watch a film of you taking your own selfies on your Porsche.
That's true. That's a small percentage too, but that would be compelling. I think
you undersell your day though, because I've seen the videos you used to do when you were in leadership, and those are magnificent. And then
those are fun.
So I think you
get desensitized to your own day. But my point is that it's the same thing. 85% of my day is spent in front of a computer or on the phone.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, the Navy SEAL, and the reason I like that so much is the Navy SEAL reference is amazing, because that's the kind of stuff like David Goggins is super popular right now. And that's the kind of stuff we tell real estate agents. You just got to be a Navy SEAL, right? You just got to go in, you got to do it, you got to hold the board up in the air, and you got to swim in shit-ass cold water and like all kinds of other crazy stuff. But the reality is it's even the other stuff too. You have to be willing to sit and look at your stupid computer screen for 4 hours.
You have to be unwaveringly disciplined, even when, not when it's hard, when it's super boring.
Yeah, it's super boring, exactly.
Well, I mean, that goes into, as we kind of get to the end of the show, mindset. And I think we're getting close to the end.
I think you're timing this show out way wrong.
Way off.
I don't even know when we started this show.
Either. I mean, I'm drinking water right now.
Christina will give us a $5 when it's time to go.
We're like 20 minutes in, dude.
15 minutes left. So well, we can ramble on this one. But I mean, where I'm and why I want, this is kind of my topic right now, because I'm super frustrated right now in terms of mindset.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't understand the weak mindset. Right, I don't get it. I mean, in this business, in any business, or anything that we do in general, when we commit to something, I don't understand if we're running into a wall and we feel like we're failing, that we're just going to give up and just, all right, I'm just going to put my head against this wall and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you brought up the story where it's your friends that are working at the same job for 6 years, and if they went on Saturdays, they could make $55,000. Well, that same, like you said, that was my story of if I worked 6 days a week in that REO company, the foreclosure company, I could maybe make 100, maybe. And I was like, if I just do it here and commit to my business every single day, I'll make $100,000. Now, has it been easy? Absolutely not. And we have people that get out of this business because they thought it was easy because of the Millionaire, that $1 million listing show where, it looks all fun and games, because I would love to have someone drive me around, right? I would love to wear cool socks. I guess I can do that on my own and do high kicks, but
that is the video I want.
Yeah.
I want a video of Nick doing a high kick with some fruity socks on.
But I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I've got over the last 2 weeks with people threatening lawsuits, with people that are just, to me, just seem like they're not in their normal mindset in terms of how they treat us, and people just want to, people want to shut down in this industry, and it's like, no, just we push forward and we keep going. That should not derail you from going and finding more clients, right? And I don't understand the mindset of that fragile mindset. I mean, kind of, maybe you guys walk me through what y'all experience, or maybe you've been through it.
I mean, here's the thing, dude. I mean, full transparency. I've been a fragile mindset person, right? Like, it's really easy. There are certain things that would affect my lead generation, right? You come in and you're ready to go at 9 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock it doesn't go your way, and you're shutting it down by 11 and going home. I've been there. I'm really excited about where I've got a lot of things going in the right direction over the past few years, so that's helped a lot of it as well. The thing I see in real estate agents all the time is that it's fake accountability. Everybody likes to hashtag the shit out of accountability, but they don't really want to hold themselves accountable, and they think that somebody's going to come along and rescue them or point out the exact right thing to do. And that might be the biggest misconception about our industry altogether, is that there's ultimately like this perfect answer that somebody's going to come and save you and point you in the right direction, right? And for a fragile mindseted person, when that doesn't come along and happen, and you don't have the ability to be like, I'm the only one in this fucking boat today, and I've got to row in this direction, or I'm going to float off in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to be way harder to get back. If you're the kind of person who tends to feel sorry for yourself, you're not going to row the boat, right? You have to just decide that you're going to do something different today. You have to spin out of your stupid cycle that you're in every day when it comes to lead generation or whatever, and find an alternative, dig a little bit deeper in yourself. I think that's the only difference now. I get up at 5 o'clock every day. I hate it so much. I really do. But I get up and I feel better, and I tell myself I'm going to do it, and by 6 o'clock I'm really proud of myself that I did it. There has to just be a part of you that wants it a little bit more. It's kind of like people with fragile mindsets, we're kind of like addicts. We're addicted to that feeling sorry for yourself, or being able to quit without it being your fault, right? And just like an addict, you have to decide you're not going to be a bitch about that kind of stuff anymore. You really do.
I mean, it's like the old adage, right? Don't talk about it, be about it, right? We have this we get like a dopamine rush thinking about being badass, I think, right? Like the idea of talking about accountability, right? That's why goal setting clinics are so popular, right? It's really fun to think about all the things that you're going to do. It's not fun to actually do them, right? Like getting up early is not fun. Most of what we do in real estate isn't particularly fun, right? I would so much rather be doing something else. But being a true leader, being truly accountable, has nothing to do with being a badass. It has everything to do with being able to do the same boring shit over and over every day, even when it feels like it's not working, even when it feels like you're not cut out for this. It's not like we are fighting some Spartan combat war every day that's really hard but really exciting. We're doing really boring stuff a lot of the time that's really hard and not very exciting, and that's why it's really tough to be accountable, because we spend so much time on the minutia of it and the consistency of it and building those habits. It's really, really, really easy to create bad habits or to not form good habits when what you're doing isn't particularly compelling all the time. And if you do that long enough, you push that off long enough, you'll convince yourself that you're not cut out for this.
We're all podcast guys, and I'll reference one that I watched the other day, and it's if you're familiar with Stephen Fredrik, he's a pastor out of North Carolina, but I mean, he does his sermons are awesome, right? But he was doing this thing about thinking about it, and he was talking about how when people come to him and say, well, I could have thought of Uber, right? Thinking of it isn't shit, man. Like thinking of making money, thinking of lead generation, thinking of how awesome it would be to sell 3 houses a month, because got 3 houses in a month, that's a difficult thing to do on your own, right?
It doesn't seem like it when you're talking about it.
Yeah, but the dudes just didn't think about Uber. Like there was a whole bunch of other stuff that happened, and I think so many people get caught up in the idea of, well, they just got lucky at the right time. No, they had a really good idea that other people probably had thought of and put a shitload of execution behind it.
Well, and they, and I'll let Nick jump in here, comment on this. A lot of it is hard to associate the same sort of things that you're going through when you're grinding it out and really getting some traction with the type of people that you look up to, right? For example, like that's what we focus on when we look at the $1 Million Listing New York's, of the world, the hit TV shows and stuff. It does not seem like those guys grind it out every day, right? You only see the glamorous parts of their lives, right?
And they only made it because of the TV show.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Or we don't.
There were nobodies before that,
right? We don't think of the people. We don't think of the Nick Goods of the world that sell 250 homes a year as having to grind it out every day, right? But that's the truth of it, right? Yep. The goalposts continue to move the higher up the ladder you get, right? You will always be continuing to grow and build. You'll feel financial stability, of course, but your thirst to continue to grow, your goals will always get bigger. You'll never feel like, when you're starting out, you feel like they never worry about anything. Those guys up there, they don't worry about anything. Yeah. I fucking promise you they do.
All they have is problems at that point.
They're probably worse than what you're going through.
Let me walk you through my mindset, right? So I fear every day that this business is going to go away, that someone is going to think I'm a fraud, which, I mean, I don't know. I've always had that mindset, right? And that I'll be a failure to my family, right? So that's my mindset every day. And it gets into, all right, then am I not leading my agents the right way? Are they not succeeding in our system? The ones that don't succeed, are they not succeeding because of what we've done or what I didn't do to help them? So that's every single day. So that's what drives me. I joke around, I'm just going to burn it all down and just go deliver pizzas again.
Right.
But I mean, I wouldn't, but that's a joking, that's just a joking mindset. I mean, when shit hits the fan, we have to deal with it. And, I want to pull the covers up over my head. I don't want to deal with that shit.
Right.
But we have to. I mean, we're a litigious society today. Like, I don't want to, that's going to really derail somebody.
Yep.
Go ahead and try to get sued and see how your mindset is, right?
Yep.
So, every day, just because, people think that, and I know what some of the perceptions is like, oh, you got plenty of money, you guys have all this, but that could go away in a heartbeat in my mind. That's how I think. That's what drives me every single day, and what frustrates me with some of that fragile mindset of, you guys are self-sabotaging yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's talk about, everyone here has had some team members leave over the past 2 weeks, and we jump into their accounts. How many times are you setting immediate appointments with sellers and buyers that are ready to go right now?
We had 3, literally, like in the past 14 days that were right there.
So again, people are stopping right before the finish line. And that's what frustrates me the most with this mindset.
Yep.
Because I want it more than they want it. And that shouldn't be. Everybody should experience making 6 figures, right? If you haven't experienced that, like, you want to experience that in your life, in my opinion. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
right?
It does make some stuff a little bit easier when you don't have to worry about how you're going to pay for it.
So that's where I struggle the most today with jumping back into the team and production, because I'm like, all right, this is easy.
Well, and that's how you know it's a mindset thing, because I was saying, we had 2 people leave the team last week. I jumped right back into their accounts and set 2 appointments on the first day from old leads that they hadn't been following up with. I still don't consider myself particularly any more skilled as far as that part of things than anybody on my team. I'm just more resilient, right?
Yeah.
That's why I know it's a mindset thing. If I can go in and work the exact same leads with the exact same tools and I can just do it better than you, it's not because I'm particularly talented. It's because I won't give up, and I just have a better mindset than you do. So that's been one of the frustrating things about jumping back into production, is that if you just get people with that mindset, that's how you can really grow and scale and leverage.
Yep. I had an opportunity to talk to an agent today who was just in a place, woke up this morning frustrated, doubting themselves. And I had very transparent, just like Nick was. I wake up every morning curious about whether or not I'm going to be able to do it. And at some point, you have to take that self-doubt, because maybe for me, the worry and the anxiety and the stress I feel about whether I'm good enough or not, right? If that's refocused in a direction, I could double my business. If that exact same emotion was refocused in a task-oriented way, instead of get on and check out what everybody else is doing kind of way, I would get so much more shit done, man.
So let's be honest about it. Like, this is for the people that are struggling with that mindset, right? With feeling like you're not cut out for this, feeling like, everybody who's executing at a high level has just something that you don't have, something that you can't accomplish. You're Matt Kelderman, CEO of Her Group Dallas. What are the most glamorous parts of your life that you think people see, and what are the darkest, most honest things that you think about yourself and your business in your head?
That's good. I think people see the stuff on Facebook, right? They see the closings, they see that kind of stuff, they see the family stuff, right? They don't see that Luke at 7:30 is standing under me while I'm staring at my phone saying, play with me, and I'm texting back some client, right? They don't see that shit. They don't see Jennifer on a Sunday being like, this is the Sunday you said you were going to take off. Right. And I'm like, baby, I know, but I got 2 appointments and it's money, right? Like, that's real. That's since January 1 stuff, right? It's, if you're not doing, you don't have to have that. I'm in wealth building mode of my life. I'm in legacy leaving mode of my life. I understand everybody's not there, and that's fine if you're not there, but don't kid yourself either. Don't kid yourself and think you're $100,000 when you only need 55.
Yep.
Right? So
100%.
that's honestly that's the stuff that eats at my soul every day.
Yeah.
Right? Is like losing time with family over clients, you know, and shit that really doesn't even really need to be addressed probably
and
in
that
that moment.
may not work out.
And it may not work out. They may still terminate that contract. They may still do whatever.
and they fire us, and then they're like, "Oh shit! Like I lost family time, and I didn't get paid on this."
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing we talked about yesterday when kind of going over this a little bit with you know, unfortunately I love my wife to death, but you know, she tells me all the time that my business is above her, and there's nothing I can do to change that mindset, right? I mean, this is all in or nothing.
Right.
And so it's the same thing, that it's not glamorous.
So same thing, right? Good home team does 200 plus transactions a year. Angie has 70 plus million in assets under management now.
Yep.
That's what people think of when they think of Nick Good, right?
Yep.
So what are the glamorous things that people see, and what are your dark things in your head that your life is really like?
That we've got all this real estate investment holdings. We're making millions, and which I'm not taking at home, by the way. Like it's sitting there for reinvestment, right? And it's the same thing Matt and I struggle with. Like again, I didn't get home till 8:15 last night. My son usually goes to bed at 7:30, so Heather kept him up, right? And so it's struggling to have enough family time there and have enough time with just my wife. Yeah. Because that's a huge deal too. This is a stressful business, and when I'm stressed, I take it out on her. She, like, no joke, she's a blessing, because she takes that stress. Now, you know, there's the fights with it, there's the arguments with it, but she knows, and she'll call me out on the bullshit. Yeah. Right? I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's, you know, it's the same thing with your probably perceptions about you. You have your nice Porsche we brought up several times today. Right. You know, what is the glamorous and the darkest about Brian Force?
I mean, you probably hit the nail on the head. People know me as I mean, I'll lay it out there. I'm Brian Force. I've been in real estate for 8 years. I've never made less than $150,000. I was Rookie of the Year at one of the largest offices in Texas. I've always exceeded in that regard, right? You'll know me as the guy driving the $85,000 car and wearing Xenia suits everywhere. What you won't see is that I cry uncontrollably at least every 2 months. I've said horrible, unforgivable things to people that I love, that if they had said to me in a fit of anger about my business, I probably would never let them take back and would hold against them for the rest of their life. I've struggled with things like addiction in my life that have been brought on by my business, right? I legitimately think about selling all of my possessions, burning my whole life to the ground, and leaving for New York City to start over probably 3 or 4 times very seriously every single year. That's what I think about in my head, even being in the top 2% of real estate producers in the country, right? That's the real shit that it's like to be up here. And that doesn't mean you're going to quit.
Yeah, no, not
you just get used to feeling that way, and you get up every day and you do it anyway.
Yep. So we all struggle.
There's going to be sacrifice with success. I mean, for sure.
So we all struggle. So now that we got all that mushy stuff out of the way,
I know that's a way to leave this on a bright, sunshiny note.
I love you guys so much.
Yes, we love all of our listeners.
I just don't want agents to think that it's just easy all the time, because it's not.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, this is not a pity party for any of us, right? No. We're still going to be here tomorrow. We're still going to be moving forward. It's just it's getting up and doing the work anyway, knowing that your ultimate goal in life, that perfect vision for yourself is out there, and you're getting closer to it no matter what you have to go through.
And I will say we're going to wrap it up with what we have coming up next week. Yeah. So if you're watching this, comment down below, share what you're struggling with. You know, in the show notes, we're going to leave Brian's calendar, my stair-step program, to setting 1 appointment a day to make 6 figures. But get an accountability partner. I will say that we group text each other every freaking day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, like, we talk, I mean, it's joking around, it's stress relief, it's whatever. We talk about the show, we talk about business, everything. So find that accountability partner that, you know, you guys are competition to me technically, right? But I'll share everything with anybody. And likewise, we're not 100%. Hiding anything. So find that right accountability partner, and please review this podcast.
Yeah,
you know, we now have an official podcast channel.
Yeah, 4 episodes.
4. This is the 4th. Go subscribe to our YouTube. Hit that little dingy bell thing.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
Ding the bell.
Ding the bell. And we've got an awesome guy coming on next week. hardcore closer.
Hardcore closer.
Ryan Stewman.
Yeah.
He's going to talk about, I mean, he's built his entire business, former loan officer who's built his business on lead generation through social media. And he's going to talk about phone sites, which is a lead capture page that's doing some cool things with automated text sequences as well. So we're excited to have him on. So that... Dude, I don't think we have anything else.
No, I think we're it. Christina's about to run the music over us like the Oscars anyway. So
I was about to tear up when Brian was.
That was about as emotional as I'm going to get on here. I'm emotionally drained now.
Didn't catch on camera. Let's take us out, Matt.
Yep. All right. Well, Christina, thank you very much. We have appreciated you.
This is her last
Congratulations
day.
with everything.
Yeah.
Take us out.